When a major political figure is assassinated, the first thing Americans look to is the investigation. Who did it? How? And will justice be served? This case was supposed to answer those questions, but what it actually revealed says more about the people leading the FBI than it does about the gunman himself. I'm Michael Fanone, and this is The Michael Fanone Show. To understand how we got here, let's start with Kash Patel. He's not a cop. He never worked cases. He never walked a beat or ran an undercover operation or sat across from a suspect in an interrogation room. Patel came up as a lawyer, then a congressional staffer. His calling card was loyalty to Trump, not investigative skill. He became a fixture on right-wing media, built a podcast audience, and live tweeted like an influencer chasing clicks. That's the resume of the man tapped to run the FBI, a podcaster, a partisan, and a performer, not a lawman. When Patel took over, the Bureau changed, and not for the better. Veteran agents with decades of institutional knowledge walked away. Some were forced out. In their place came Trump loyalists, people better at parroting talking points than running investigations. Investigative priorities shifted too. Cases tied to violent crime and domestic extremism lost resources, while politically useful probes were fast-tracked. Sensitive information that used to stay sealed tight was suddenly floating around on social media as if the FBI had become another content mill. Inside the Bureau, morale cratered. Agents knew their work would be judged, not by the evidence they built, but by how it played on Patel's Twitter feed. Outside the Bureau, trust was evaporating. Communities that once looked to the FBI for competence now saw spectacle. Then came the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the highest profile political murder in years. A country already divided, now reeling from violence in broad daylight. This was the moment where the FBI had to steady the ship, where Patel could prove that despite the doubts, he could run an airtight, disciplined investigation. The world's eyes were on him. What the public got was chaos. Within hours, supposed suspects were identified and their names pushed into the public square. Lives upended in real time, before any case had been built. Then came the rush to explain why. I spent 2 decades in law enforcement, and I can tell you that's the cardinal rule you never break. You don't speculate. You don't guess. Because once it's out there, you can't take it back. It can taint a jury, compromise a witness, or even get officers and civilians hurt. The fallout, it was immediate. Families harassed. Innocent people branded as killers. Field agents scapegoated and fired to cover up leadership's mistakes. And inside the Bureau, Patel himself was sometimes cut out of the loop by his own deputies, who didn't trust him to keep sensitive information to himself. Imagine that. The director of the FBI treated as a liability in his own house. And the most damning fact of all, the assassin wasn't tracked down through Bureau work. He was turned in by his father. In my world, that isn't a solved case. That's an indictment on everything that went wrong, sloppy and dangerous. And I know because I've been there. I've seen how fragile an investigation can be if you let politics or ego come first. Charlie Kirk's assassination was horrific, but the investigation that followed pulled back the curtain on an even bigger problem. An FBI run by a man more interested in performance than justice. If this is what it looks like when the whole world is watching, what does it look like when nobody is?